Hey everybody, Bryan here from Xact IT. I'm here with you with our Guess Who Got Hacked and Attacked edition for this week. Today is September 30th, 2020, and this will be for the previous 6 or 7 days or so. There are so many hacks I get to choose from this week. It is absolutely ridiculous. Now, these are the ones that made the news. There are other ones that, you got to remember, not all breaches are disclosed. Some small businesses get ransomware, don't think they have to, or they don't because they don't want the bad publicity, or they just don't know that they're required to disclose those breaches. Don't make it to the news. These are the ones that make it to the news, and we're going to talk about those. I'm going to move quickly here, quicker than I normally do in most of my videos, simply because there's so many, and I don't want to make this video 45 minutes long. So I may not go into a lot of detail into these videos like I do in other videos. So if you have any questions or want to know any more information about anything that I cover here, just drop them in the comments below. And remember, we don't charge a fee for this, and we don't get paid by YouTube for this channel. So all that we do ask of you, if you like anything that you see, or if you're entertained in any way, shape, or form, if you've picked up something from my channel or from watching my videos, that you please hit the like button on the video that you're watching, and maybe you'll consider subscribing to our channel, because it helps us greatly with YouTube and our publicity around YouTube and who sees our information and the video and the content that we're putting out. But it also motivates us to put out more content and want to do more about getting cybersecurity to the forefront of everybody's minds. Because the mainstream media, as we know, unless it's a major attack like the one we had this week with Universal Healthcare Services, it's not going to be in the news. It's definitely not going to be on CNN or NBC or any of those big channels. But you might find some articles online, and we're going to cover those that we found online here. So let's get right into it. We have Swatch, the famous Swatch watchmaker. They were forced to shut down their IT systems after detecting a cyber attack. And the article goes on to say that they confirmed that it had identified clear signs of a cyber attack under development on some of its IT systems over the weekend. For security reasons, the group immediately acted and shut down some of its IT systems as a precaution, which affected some operations. Swatch Group immediately assessed and analyzed the nature of the attack, took appropriate measures, and implemented the necessary corrections. The situation will return to normal as soon as possible. The group will, of course, file a criminal complaint against X. It's interesting because they had to take everything offline. I don't know what they were doing other than preventing the hackers from getting into their system. But as of today, they're still not back online, and this disrupted the business operations of Swatch pretty heavily, just like all these other attacks that happened this week. Just like this one that happened to the leading U.S. laser developer. It's a DoD contractor who is under NIST 800-171 and the forthcoming CMMC compliance. But it goes on to say the IPG Phototronics, a leading U.S. developer of fiber laser for cutting, welding, and medical use, and laser weaponry, has suffered a ransomware attack that is disrupting their operations. They're in Oxford, Massachusetts, and they have locations worldwide where they employ over 4,000 people and have a $1.3 billion revenue in 2019. On Monday, Bleeping Computer was contacted by a source with knowledge of the attack who told us that a ransomware attack had disrupted its operations. Due to the attack, IPG Photonics IT systems are shut down worldwide, affecting emails, phones, network connectivity in the offices. With these systems down, Bleeping Computer is also being told that the manufacturing parts and shipping have become unavailable. So this is another example of another ransomware attack that completely disabled a company, and they had to shut down all their systems, just like we saw in my last example with Swatch, and just like we saw with Universal Healthcare Services this week. That ransomware attackers and the model of ransomware as a service is looking like it's becoming a very effective model for deploying ransomware and taking companies down, bringing them to their knees to the point where they have to pay the ransom in order to get operations back up and running so they can fulfill their contracts and they don't end up in breach of a contract, which is usually their revenue source. Going into our third attack from this week, Arthur J. Gallagher, one of the largest insurance brokers in the world, has revealed that it was hit by a ransomware attack over the weekend. According to the brokerage, it was first detected the ransomware attack on September 26, 2020. This is the same time UHS, Swatch, and the defense contractor I just talked about were hit. We promptly took all of our global systems offline as it's a precautionary measure, initiated response protocols, launched an investigation, engaged the services of external cybersecurity and forensic professionals, and implemented our business continuity plans to minimize disruption to our customers. The company said in an 8K filing with the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission. Gallagher also gave assurance in its SEC filings that it has restarted or is in the process of restarting most of its business systems. So another ransomware attack that took down a business that required them to hit the pause button, reset some things, reset their network, reset the systems, and now they're starting to come back up, and we're 4 or 5 days into this attack now. So another huge takedown by the cyber criminals that exploited a vulnerability, and we don't know what the vulnerabilities are, but it'll be interesting to see how all of these attacks were perpetrated on over this weekend on so many companies. We have another shipping giant out of, I believe, France. French shipping giant CGM says it has been hit with a ransomware attack. The CGM group is currently dealing with a cyber attack impacting peripheral servers. Goes on to say, as soon as the security breach was detected, external access to applications was interrupted to prevent the malware from spreading. So we hear all the same things. They're pulling systems offline so they can stop the spread of the attack. If the attack is able to spread through the network from computer to computer, but essentially that's what we're seeing as a common theme from all these attacks, including UHS, which I'm not even talking about in this video because I have 2 other videos about that attack that I put out over the last 2 days. But we're seeing a similar reaction. We're seeing the similar attack and a similar reaction between all these companies, pulling the systems offline and trying to get them back up and running. It's important that businesses understand that this is happening, because I'm going to shift gears here in a minute and talk about the school districts that got hit this week for the various attacks. But these ransomware attacks will cause you to lose business even if it's for a short period of time. Consider yourself lucky if you recover from a ransomware attack, but the reality of it is that regardless if you can fully recover or not, you're going to lose revenue. You're going to have downtime with employees, which means they're going to be unproductive. They're not going to be producing for your company, but you're still going to have to pay them. The expenses around this are going to pile up very quickly. That's why you should have cyber insurance in place. Cyber insurance will help you tremendously. Should an event like this happen, it will cover a lot of things, assuming that you do all the things that you said you were going to do when you applied for the application. If you do not, if you do not follow what you told the insurance company that you do, or if there's something that they find different, they're going to send adjusters in and auditors, and they're going to find what you are not doing per your application, and then they're going to deny you your claim. So it's very important. A lot of IT companies like us at Xact IT, we do cybersecurity compliance for our customers to make sure that if they do have an event, it'll pay. So here we go. We have a bunch of schools this week. I'm going to blow through them really quickly. Hackers released Las Vegas School District student employee information after officials refused ransom demand. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this one. It's a very common thing that we're seeing hackers releasing information because the entity that they attacked with ransomware or did a denial of service attack on, they were able to exfiltrate data from that system. You better bet you there's 100% chance that they are going to come back at you and tell you, hey, we have all this data that we stole from your system and we're going to release it out into the wild unless you pay us X amount of dollars in ransom. This is the double extortion that I've talked about in previous videos that's becoming very common. And with the UHS attacks that I saw, I did a lot of research on that. I monitored a lot of social media. I monitored a lot of comments on sites like Reddit. And the information that people and the advice that people are giving around this is outdated. You cannot just go to backups anymore and expect everything to be hunky-dory. Backups no longer protect you from ransomware and hackers if they're able to steal the data ahead of time before they encrypt your files. You are going to have to pay the ransom still because they're going to release that information. Now, if you don't care if that information gets released, so be it. But most companies don't want data that they've collected about their clients to be released out into the wild for anybody to do anything they want with. If your passwords, if any of your personal information gets out on the dark web, hackers compile all that information to further exploit you, or maybe try to steal your identity, or maybe try to log into your bank account using a password that they found on another site. That's why it's important to monitor the dark web and make sure that your email address and your logins are not being sold, and your passwords aren't being sold, passwords that you're currently using. The minute that you find a password that you use on the dark web, stop using it. Don't use any variation of it. And quite frankly, just buy a password manager and generate a random, strong password for every website and every password that you use. That's your best defense. I'm going to go into Lindenhurst School District here. Lindenhurst, New York. Cyber attack caused internet outages at Lindenhurst School District last week, according to the superintendent. In a letter to the community, Giordano said that the district's network operations center determined that the cause of the intermittent outages was the DDoS, a denial of service attack. This is probably the second most common thread that we're seeing with attacks against K through 12 schools. They are, instead of deploying ransomware, they're interrupting the internet service, which is then interrupting the school's ability to deliver hybrid or online learning for their students. This is a huge problem because if they can't stop the DDoS attack on the company, if they don't have a DDoS firewall or some kind of prevention measure in place, that school is not going to have internet. And if all the teachers are in the school and some of the students are in the school, and then you have some students at home, the teachers can't teach the students at home. The students at home can't get to the schooling that they're required to take by the state. And then you have this additional problem of, how does the school communicate to the students in the community, and how do you handle 100% remote learning and have the teachers come into the school? So the internet has become a lifeline for these communities so they can still send their kids to school and the schools can still operate. Now hackers are exploiting that, and they will not stop the denial of service attack, meaning you will not get your internet restored unless you have other means of stopping it, unless you pay the ransom. Now, these ransom demands are definitely not as high as what we see with ransomware, but it's annoying, and if you want to get your systems back up and running, and you have a person over here telling you, well, we have to buy this or buy that, and it's going to cost this much in consulting fees, and they're only asking you for $5,000 or $10,000, I would think that as a business decision, you look at paying $5,000 before maybe investing 20, 30, 40, 50,000, even a few $100,000, like we're going to see in an article that I'm going to highlight here in a minute. We have another one. It's Greece Central School District in Greece, New York. They were also hit with a cyber attack, and it's a denial of service attack as well. It floods the network with so much traffic that it's unbearable for the network to be able to handle. And then, he says it's a tsunami. the guy in this article, a tsunami is a better way of explaining it, and that's exactly right. It's just a massive amount of traffic that hits a device, and it can't handle it. So again, this Greece school district, it impaired its ability to deliver online learning to the students, which is very important at this time with COVID. Hackers claim to have posted Clark County School District data. So here we go, Clark County in Nevada. A computer hacker group claimed it uploaded information stolen from a Nevada school district website to a website. The Clark County School District data the group claimed to have posted online included information on current and former employees with names and social security numbers. The Las Vegas Journal reported on Monday. They claimed that the data was stolen on a August 27th cyber attack on the district. Here we go again with another example of cyber attacks just aren't sometimes what they seem on the surface. You might think you have ransomware, you might think it's just a denial of service attack, and not realize that the actual attack was somebody who was on your network for weeks or months. They stole data, and the DDoS attack or the ransomware attack is the last thing they do because they want to get caught. They want to get your attention because they have what they need to extort money from you. So if they steal data, they launch ransomware. If they steal data, they launch a denial of service attack, and they'll be like, oh, the thing of it is, like with a denial of service attack, oh, we're not going to pay you your ransom for the denial of service attack. We're just going to hire somebody, stop your attack, and put a device that stops an attack. And then they go, oh, wait, but we have all this data here that we stole from you. Employee information, social security numbers that can be used for identity theft. That's how they take these things and make them bigger than what they seem to be on the surface. So we're going to take a look at here. We have Fort Worth. If you remember, I covered the Fort Worth attack in one of my previous Guess Who Got Hacked and Attacked This Week videos. They are now investing $337,000 for cybersecurity services after a malware attack. So they've then determined that the number $337,000 is a good value for cybersecurity services. They had to pay a bunch of fees to a malware attack prior to making this decision to actually do cybersecurity the right way. And I applaud them for stepping up and paying what it takes to protect their systems and their data. A lot of companies don't understand the magnitude of this, the level of effort, expertise, and labor and manpower that's required to do cybersecurity the right way. Obviously, I do sell those services, so I am biased, but honestly, I'm giving you the God's honest truth. I'm not trying to sell anybody on this channel. Yes, I do make money from cybersecurity services, but that's not the point here. The point here is that a lot of companies are woefully underspending on what they need for technology services in their business. I did a video on how much you should spend. Go check that out. I'll link it in the comment in the description below. But I laid out how much people should budget for IT services, and the more risk and the more cybersecurity risk you have, and the more you're under attack by these various threats, or the more compliance you have, the higher the percentage is going to be that your business, as a picture of the total revenue, the amount you would have to spend is going to be higher for the more risk or the more compliance that you have to adhere to. My last one here that I'm going to go into is a hacker breached 540,000 referee, league officials, and school representatives for ransom and won. So this arbitersports, they're a software company that holds information. One of their clients is the NCAA, and in particular, a data breach notification letter was filed with multiple states across the United States. And the company stated that despite being able to detect and block the hackers from being able to encrypt its files, certain intruders were able to steal the whole copy of its own backups. So this tells us that they had good protections in place to prevent ransomware, which is very possible with endpoint protection and other security solutions, along with good backups that can detect things like ransomware happening in real time. There's also, threat tools that actually determine whether ransomware is being deployed on your network in real time. But these hackers were able to get into the network ahead of time and steal the data. And then once the data was stolen, they had it in their possession. They were unsuccessful in the deployment of the ransomware, and they were able to thwart that attack. But like I said, double extortion is now the name of the game. It's the common thing. They will take the data, they will have it in their possession, and once they have that data in their possession, that is a reportable breach, which you must report. And if you don't, these hackers know that. So if you don't report it, they'll go report it for you, or they'll threaten to report it for you. And they'll say, hey, if you don't report this, we're gonna release this information. Or, hey, if you don't want to report this, we won't release this information and nobody has to know. Just pay us this ransom. That's how these things go down, and that's how important this stuff is. This is, I went through almost a dozen attacks this week alone, and it's Wednesday. This stuff is increasing at a rate that I've never seen before. The hackers definitely have a leg up on the business world, and I implore you all to do everything you can to put an end to this and not make this such a lucrative business for these attackers. If everybody does the right thing and starts following a cybersecurity framework, I don't care which one you follow, pick one, do it. I like NIST. There are tons of others out there that you can pick from. But follow a framework, implement it. It takes a long time to implement. You're not going to hire somebody today and be secure tomorrow. It takes a long time to fix the network that you've built over years and years and years. It takes a long time to fix that and get it to where it needs to be, especially if you've never even paid attention to cybersecurity ever before in your life. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Please like the video if you learned anything today or liked anything I said or thought anything was entertaining. If you were entertained by my videos, please like them. It really helps us out. Subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell if you're so inclined and get alerts when I post these videos. I'm trying to put out a lot more content for you guys. This stuff is really big, and it's only going to get bigger. And we got the elections coming up, so we'll wait to see what happens there in October. Have a good day, everyone. I'll talk to everyone soon, and stay safe.